It was Chilon of Pata in the 17th century, a 7th century philosopher who said, "Do not speak ill of the dead." Also in Antigone by Sophocles, written in 431 BC. Antigone, the major lesson from Antigone is that, look, the dead must be honored. And then there is an Italian saying, "Do mortuos nili nisi bonum." It also means essentially the same thing. So I begin with that theoretical concept. And also in Africa, people say, do not speak ill of the dead. When a man dies, it is assumed that all the sins of the dead are forgiven. However, while I quote that theoretical background, I have written editorials on Hastings Banda of Malawi, Idi Amin of Uganda, in the course of this career. Sani Abacha, where we said it as it is, because we had no other option. But I think in the case of President Muhammadu Buhari, who died yesterday, 1942, 17 December 1942 to 13 July 2025, it can be said that his legacy is of a mixed character. There are those who love him deeply. There are those who hate him as equally as possible. I think his career can be divided into three parts as follows. First, his military career. He was one of those young men, 70 of them, who joined the Nigerian Military Training Company in 1962, I think. He was 19 at the time. And then, of course, it was from there that he was part of the team that was sent to Mourns in England to be trained as officers. And then he returned as a second lieutenant. It was maybe 2021 at that time. And then, he became part of the Nigerian military. Now, key highlights of his career. During the counter coup of 1966, July counter coup, he was one of the officers who took part in that coup, removing Agunyi Nrusi from power. There are some people who will never forgive him for that. Now, when the Civil War began in 1967, he was in the 1st Division under the command of General Muhammad Shua, one of the finest officers ever to come from the northern part of Nigeria. From the 1st Division, he will later play a big role in the 2nd Division of the same military. And he was part of that team, the Civil War heroes who, kept Nigeria safe, kept Nigeria as one, as General General Yakubu Gowon will always say. That to go on with one Nigeria, is the mission. Now, of course, after the Civil War, he was one of those officers who benefited greatly. In 1975, right, he was one of those officers who ended the Gowon administration. He was part of that coup too. And of course, he was rewarded. He has served this country as Federal Commissioner of Works. He has also served as Federal Commissioner in terms of petroleum resources. He has been, in the course of his military career, governor in Borno State. He has also, in the course of that career, been GOC in several brigades. So he distinguished himself as a soldier. In 1983, he was again part of the coup that removed the sitting civilian government of President Shehu Shagari. And he was head of state of Nigeria between 1983 and 1985. So in assessing his legacy, you could look at that face. As head of state, many will remember him for war against indiscipline, but they will also remember him for Decree 2, for Decree 4, his repression of the media. They will remember him for the 59 suitcases that nobody has been able to explain till today. They will remember him for many of the other things that happened within that environment with regard to, was it a 2.8 billion, missing petroleum fund that the likes of public intellectual an academic, Professor Ayodele Awojobi, focused upon at that time. Now, I'll summarize that first phase. The second phase, of course, you could say, will be his involvement in politics. He then showed up in politics. He was part of the founding fathers of the AMPP, the All Nigeria People's Congress, the CPC, and then eventually he was part of the coalition, the All Progressives Congress, that branded him as a military ruler turned Democrat. And then, of course, he was Nigerian president between 2015 and 2019, and also 2019 to 2023, leading the APC. Now, that's very fresh in people's memory, and many will also remember him with regard to Twitter ban, with the restriction of the civic space. The third part of his legacy that I think many will remember will have to be, his involvement also in the politics of Nigeria. Well, if we have to talk about General Buhari, we have to be comprehensive. Now, so the third part will be how he transformed from being a soldier to being a civilian leader and a Democrat. And in that regard also, opinion will be mixed, because we have seen the statement by Sowore. Sowore has nothing to say nicely about him. There will be people like that. But there are also people like Garuba Shehu, who will say nice things. People like John Padden, who wrote the autobiography of Buhari. People like Femi Adesina, who out of loyalty to his boss has also been out there on the air. Now, very quickly.